Patrick Melton just started covering Opie the other day, and I was watching him. And it's always good to get a different perspective on things because we've gotten pretty close to the sun on this one. And he was talking about all of these voices that Opie does. Opie's never figured out what his own personality is. And that's why he's always doing these different characters. And what reminded me of that is even that intro song, which was played on his podcast back when he was Westwood One, Brother Man was stolen from Brother Weeze.
Yeah.
And he just took that as his own. And now that's his thing. And Cheers, he stopped doing that. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
People were calling him out on the Ron Bennington thing. Just like,
Ron Bennington. The moment he admitted to it, he stopped doing it.
He stopped doing it. And his voices and everything he does, he's another guy who like has no identity. He doesn't know who he is.
Well, most things he does everything he does is taken from something, and he doesn't even know it most of the time. His take whenever I hear him go, "The future," that's me. Yep. That was my shit where I talk about, oh, goodness gracious, look at this, an aeroplane. We're winging into the future. And he does that. He does, there's quite a few things of mine that I used to do on the O&A show that he just grabbed and does and then talks about how awful I am and was.
Right, yes.
And he's using my shit.
All right, well, this is the big news of the week. Erock was on Chrissy Mayer's show and talking about how he has all of the old Opie and Anthony episodes archived on hard drives. And someone asks Opie about that in this chat, of course.
Richulo, is it true that you asked Erock for the O&A archive, but he refuses to give it to you until you grow up like an adult and talk to him? Yeah, I guess he could keep the O&A archives. I'm not playing his stupid game. I think if I'm to believe the internet, which is crazy, I get it. Supposedly, if I become a human being, then I could get my life's work back.
This is the longest fake laugh ever.
Oh my God.
That's the longest fake laugh I've seen him do. That's impressive.
All he does is believe the internet. What is he talking about? Every comment that comes up concerning me from obvious trolls that tell him what money I'm making at ABC and all that, he takes it as gospel and goes off on it on some tirade. Ope, you believe all that nonsense.
Anthony's trashing right now. Oh, is he? He's trashing me again. He's a piece of garbage.
Let me tell you about Anthony.
I know some things about him. He doesn't want to get out. He doesn't want getting out. So he pulls that shit on my clip package today.
Yeah. If you want to know the truth.
If you want to know the truth.
Oh, I love that one. If you want to know the truth. Look at his Blair Witch fucking video quality, too. It's 2025. You could have HD video at $10.
I know. It would not be difficult to get a better camera. But the duct tape is already stuck on this one. You'd have to pull it off and get the goo gun.
When you submit self-tapes, when you make any kind of video for broadcast, the first thing you're always told is do not shoot in front of an open window.
Right.
That's just not what we do. And I got to tell you something. If anybody just saw him say this and read that, they would not be on his side. You don't need any context. So I'm hassling, or I'm talking to this person, I'm sending them messages about something I want, and they say to me, you'll get what you want when you start talking to me like a real human being and acting like a human. Anybody who hears that is going to go, you're at fault, buddy. They're right. If that's what they're asking of you, then you're not doing it. And to respond to that by laughing into the sky and not acknowledging it is, in fact, inhuman and proving their point.
Yes. It's well said, because this continues for a while.
Are you guys getting it yet? Hear me out. I need to be a human being, and then I can get my life's work back.
Adam, he's doing the whole, who's with me? Are you guys seeing how crazy this is? I mean, who's with me? And everyone's just like, no, I think it's pretty reasonable.
First of all, stop poking your finger into his face, hands at your sides. That's not a healthy way to have a conversation, Opie.
Right.
And it's kind of what we were talking about before, getting his life's work back. He's already gotten millions of views on videos from our radio show. Did
Yes.
I see a penny of it? Did Jim Norton see a penny of it? No. So what's this my life's work? You've used it already. You've gotten millions of hits. You've made money off of your YouTube channel because you post shit that is actually the property of Sirius XM Satellite Radio, WNEW, CBS Radio, Viacom, all these places that have a legal right to this material. He's been putting them up. He's been making money. He hasn't shared it with anyone else who had a lot more to do with the resulting video than he ever did. So what is he talking about? His life's work. Please.
Yeah, and he's going to get into it now. I watched Erik when he was talking about this.
Yeah,
he
me
actually told Opie, hey, we can buy all of our archives. We can buy the rights to them for a pretty low rate. Do you think we should do that? And Opie said, no need to do that.
Yeah.
So he gave him a chance to own all this shit, and Opie said no. So Erik now has it, and we'll get into that. I have the clip of what Erik was saying, but real quick, he decides to deflect now, because you can tell he already doesn't know how to respond to this. He already has said nothing. He's just laughed like, oh, my life's work. Okay, I got to be a human. And so now he's going to say how much he's worked on himself. This drives me crazy right here.
I sit here sometimes and I want understanding. I really do. I want to take responsibility for my part in the whole craziness of the Opie and Anthony world.
Good start.
I have gone to therapy. I've looked deep into myself.
Good.
I still got things to figure out.
Right.
I'm a work in progress.
But
Erock, if it's true, said I need to become a human being and then I could get my life's work back. This is coming from a guy that worked for a monster. Are you going to make believe you didn't know all the crazy shit that Anthony does that kind of doesn't make him look like a human being?
so
Make
this
me
is
more endearing to people.
This is a deflection. Opie, and this is what's so crazy about Opie. He must know how stupid this sounds. To say, I'm working on myself, I'm going to therapy, and by the way, Erock's not a good guy because he worked for Anthony, and Anthony's a jerk, and I don't like him, and so that means that he's also a bad guy too. It's like no therapist would tell you that that's the solution to your problems.
That's healthy. First of all, I'm the monster. I have a great relationship with everyone aside from one or two people over the course of 30 years in the radio business with Opie, 20, but the last 10 years being on my own. I still have great relationships. I talk to them on regular basis. One of my best friends is Jim Norton, who we did the show with, obviously. Garrett from the NEW days up until Compound Media, and now still with Garrett and Steve doing a show. I love that. Everyone I've worked with at Compound Media, less, the guy that was stealing shit. But he has nobody. No one wants to have a relationship with this guy after you've worked with him.
That's because he was
I'm
the
somehow
boss.
The monster.
He didn't want to be the boss.
Because I go to the Atlantic City with some girl and gamble $30,000 on one hand of blackjack. Yeah, it was crazy. Anthony did crazy stuff. Yeah, fun as fuck, let me tell you. And yeah, I definitely tore it up and made some mistakes, as we all do, whatever. But monster? I'm a monster?
I'll just say this, and everyone says I'm an Anthony ball washer, so it doesn't matter at this point. Of course. But I know pretty well over a half dozen people who worked for you at Compound. Yeah. I've talked to them a ton. We've done shows and stuff like that. None of them have a bad thing to say about working for Anthony and working for Compound, even though everyone wanted them. They got invited onto every show to dish dirt and talk all this shit. Yep. None of them took the bait because working for Anthony is not working for a monster. You're actually a pretty cool boss, it seems like.
When I go up to New York that Friday, I do Sid Rosenberg's show on WABC in the morning. And then that night, I'm going to Chrissy's new studio and doing her show. Yeah, I still have relationships with these people. We still like each other and enjoy each other's company. Name one fucking person that we've ever worked with. I talked to people from BAB when Opie was on BAB in the early to mid 90s that have shit to say. They shit talk Opie.
Yep.
There's not one former employee that can stand this fucking guy. But, I'm the monster. Erock's an idiot for seeing Opie as inhuman and not me. So, again, projecting and throwing shit away.
And the other thing that Opie does that drives me crazy, I think I have more examples coming up, is he can just be so vague about things.
Yes, it's all
so
vague.
rather than a specific accusation,
right?
Well, Eric's bad because he worked for Anthony, and Anthony's a monster. Like, what? That's
it's fabrication.
Point it out. Give me an example.
But it's the best because whenever Opie gets something wrong or doesn't nail it, he is a work in progress.
Yeah.
If you have too much fun in Vegas, you're a monster. And Erock is an idiot. And the worst thing you could do is call me inhuman, but you're a monster for undefined reasons. And by the way, the reason Anthony's not so precious about his life's work is because his life isn't over, Opie.
Right, he's still doing
He's
it.
still making work.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about getting the O&A material. First of all, anything worth listening to is already online and has been for decades. What, you want the Greg Brady interview that we did? Yeah, that's probably on tape somewhere. You could probably still find that online. But the rest of it, who needs it? Well, I don't care. I've moved on with my life and my show. I see potential every day for new material. This guy's trying to get 30-year-old material to pop up on his YouTube.
It's what does the best for him, and he has no problem stealing it anyway. True. But after calling you a monster, listen to this.
How does that work in your head? That I need to become a human being to get my life's work back. But you literally work for Anthony, who doesn't really show signs of being a human being at times. How does that work in your head? For real.
You hired him. You hired him. It was your idea.
And I'm not even, I know this is going to be confusing to people, but I'm not even taking a shot at Anthony.
No.
I mean, it is what it is.
I'm not a human.
That is confusing. That's confusing to me. I thought you called him a monster.
I respect monsters.
He calls me a monster, yet he's not trashing me.
No.
And then he cries that I'm trashing him when I literally say, get a better camera, get a better mic, prep for your show, listen to your guests, stop looking at the chat. All these things are just suggestions to do a better show. He sees that as me trashing him, yet he calls me inhuman and a monster, but I'm not trashing him. All right.
I guess that makes it true. I guess you can say whatever you want about someone, just be like, and by the way, that's not trashing him. Oh, okay.
Right.
Cool. Sounds good.
And still, Opie is here trying to defend his right to not be a human being. Like, he's defending this. Like, it's a noble point.
And remember, this has nothing to do with Anthony. Nope. He brought up Anthony on this and continues to go on about that as he does here.
Anthony has chosen to live his life in an insanely crazy way.
Okay. Are you living a crazy life down there in South Carolina, Anthony?
By the way, I am so fucking chill now and have been for a pretty long time now. During the days of the Roslyn Heights house parties and stuff, and after I broke up with a girlfriend of 9 years, it was fucking nuts for a few years there. Time of my life, had a great time, but. Like he's talking that I'm going nuts every day. I do my show from my house. Me and Missy go into Greenville, South Carolina, have some dinner, a couple of glasses of wine. I'm back home. I'm watching TV. I'm a madman. Maybe it's my crazy, wacky glasses.
Whoa. Calm down, Anthony.
Holy shit, this guy.
Going after your lifestyle at this point is ridiculous. Like you bought a house that's on a bunch of land and you enjoy it.
Ooh, look out.
He says he's apolitical. He says he's not a Democrat or a liberal, but what somebody does alone in their house at night bothers him. And he feels the right to judge, and it makes you a monster.
All right, let's take a look at what Erik said, since Opie won't look it up. He just heard about it from the internet. Yeah. Maybe we can put some context to this.
They're preserved. He goes back to Opie. There was a clip where he's saying, it's like, oh, I stole all this stuff from him. It's like, I begged you for years to buy the thing, have the ownership, take the copies, wouldn't do it. Now, 10 plus years
'Cause he
later,
wants the clips
he
for
wants them
YouTube.
for YouTube. He's expecting just to hand stuff over. I got a text from him at one point, and he's like, just send me what you think I deserve, what you think is mine, or something like that.
Wow.
I sent him a few things that were pre-NEW stuff, and that was all I gave him. It's like, well, fuck you, dude. You don't want to talk. You don't want to be a human
if
being.
he was
Why am I
nicer
going to help
to you, maybe.
You don't want to talk. You don't want to be a human being. Why should I be nice to you? Because the very passive aggressive. All right, so just send me what you think I should own. Then.
Yeah.
Like, what a dick.
Put the onus on Erock. And if you take the context of that, like, you didn't talk to me. You don't talk to me about this. You know, when you can be a human being, that isn't like you're not human. You're
Correct.
inhuman. It's like human beings discuss this and talk about it and say, hey, here's why I want this, and whatever the debate would be between him and Erock. The phrase be a human being is kind of not literal in that.
Opie's twisting this to make it look like it's something, and it's nothing.
Erock is saying, grow up here and be a fucking man.
Right. Talk to me.
And also, I don't think he said your life's work.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. He never said that.
Erock told us on this show a couple of times how he tried to keep a relationship with Greg, reached out to him a few times, tried to meet up with him, and Opie's never wanted anything to do with him. Now all of a sudden Opie wants something, and Eric's the bad guy.
Of course.
Isn't Chrissy great for putting some plants for Erock to graze on during the show?
That is nice.
Very nice of her.
I remember when you had that next to your swimming pool on Long Island.
Yes.
Your Erock statue.
Yes.
I also like to see how Opie and Stuttering John, they both never are aware of the reality of the show they're doing at the time. Like, he keeps talking about these things and saying how he's not going to talk to Erock, and I'm grown up, I'm a human being. Then why are you talking alone in your room to your invisible friend? Like, why don't you just be a human being and call him up? You're so brave from the safety of your home alone when we can't see your face. Now you're talking to him with no problem. You won't shut up about it. But the guy wants to talk on the phone, and now you're a child.
This conversation you're having with no one right now could be had with someone if you wanted to. Might be more
And we would like to
productive.
see it. Everyone would like to see it. That would be the beginning of a fucking show. Because you won't do it, we're here doing it for you. And imagining what you'd say, and it's never as insane as what you actually would. So why are you pretending to be so deeply involved while unaware at the same time of everything going on in your life?
Mm-hmm. All right, so he went after Anthony for a little while, just as a side. Now it's back to Erik. And I'm interested to hear what Anthony thinks about this.
I guess, Erock, when you were crying at work and I was the one there to talk to you and actually give you a hug. Ooh. Maybe I got to go back to doing that. And then maybe then I could get my life's work back.
Yeah, I don't think touching people is going to help, Opie. I don't think that's the change you need, is to start going around touching people.
So can you believe that? Now he's saying that Erik was crying at work and Opie was the only one there to comfort him, console
Opie
him.
will make shit up in his head and absolutely 100% believe it. I've seen this over the years where he'll call someone out about something and we all know it never happened, but he has it in his head and it is mutated into a reality. It actually happened. He now reacts to the person like it happened. He talks about it like it actually happened. It's fucking psychotic. I've seen him do this. The Dice thing, Andrew Dice Clay on Howard Stern. And he goes, yeah, he was making jokes about my dad when my dad got in a car accident. And it never happened.
It never happened. I've tried to find it because he brings it up all the time. I listen, I'm like, that's not what they talked about at all. They're talking about Man Cow.
Yeah, they weren't even talking about Opie. He has this unbelievable sense of self-worth, grandiose.
Revisionist history.
They're talking about him like in code. Like the mental patients that listen to the radio and go, okay, yeah, they're talking to me.
Yeah.
He must know somewhere, because underneath, if he really could call up Erock and be like, buddy, do you remember that day you were crying and I held you? Like, if he could actually bridge that gap, he would. He must know it's made up, and that's why he's talking to a screen.
Just like that scene with Meatloaf in Fight Club.
Right. It reminds me of Stuttering John with the Carl posted my book on his Patreon thing.
Yes.
It's like if he says it enough times, he's convinced himself. I'm convinced he's convinced himself that
Yes.
this really happened. And I'm sure Opie thinks that this really happened. Do you remember Erik crying at work? Because it seemed like Erik had a pretty thick skin with how much you guys dragged him on that
He
show.
does. But do you know why he's fabricating this fake story?
Why is that?
To prove that he's a human being.
Ah, yeah. So all of a sudden, I was the one.
This is his childish
hugging
way.
people.
You're right.
Yeah.
And Erock walked on the beach and just saw one set of footprints.
They do that in interrogations when they're talking to a suspect, and they're like, if your wife was really missing, you haven't cried once. We've been here 3 hours. What do? Immediately,
Yep.
tears start coming. They're showing you that they can cry. Not like, wow, that's even more evil than when you were just cold. Him trying to show us what a human he is now, alone in his room, is just some scary stuff.
Talking about the wife in past tense when it's just a missing person case. I love that shit, man.
So now he's just going to sarcastically chat with Erik directly on his show.
Erock, if you're watching, and I know you do, I will try to become a human being. I'm going to try just for you so I could get my life's work back.
Doing a great job.
Call your old boss. That's how you get your life's work back. Call the company that still and forever has the rights to that stuff. What is he talking to Erock? Erock has tapes of everything.
Right. Erock smuggled it.
Right.
He smuggled it out, but he doesn't own it. Right. Yeah. Good point.
Our agent, Abonanim, Bob Eatman, the late Bob Eatman, many years ago after the NEW thing and we got on Sirius, he talked to people over at CBS Radio at the time, whatever it was, Viacom, and said, how much for the rights to everything? And they made an offer like a couple $100,000. It wasn't all that much, comparably speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And Opie was just like, no. And I was like, no, I didn't give a shit.
Right.
Why do I need fucking shit we did years ago? We're making new material every fucking day. But he never wanted to do that. But now somehow he thinks Erock is preventing him from having what is rightfully his life's work.
And it's interesting when Erik tells the story about who owns the rights to it, because a movie studio reached out to request audio for a movie they were making, and no one claimed to have ownership of the old Opie and Anthony archives. So they're like, I guess you can just use it. Here you go. So
it's like public domain now, like the Hindenburg crash.
Yeah, it's like all these radio stations have been wiped out. None of the people who worked there even know Opie and Anthony were on the station.
Yeah.
And Sirius XM, they've moved on from Howard already. Like they have moved on. They got other shit going on. Yeah. They're trying to get their podcast wing set up. Which, by the way, I'm going to prove that Opie knows nothing about Sirius XM. As now we get into Sam Roberts.
Wait, let me ask you one question real fast. Anthony, what is this thing where they all have a delusion that everyone they've ever met and worked with is watching their show at all times? Where does that come from? What is that?
I know you're watching.
It's odd, too, because there's also this juxtaposition where he will say he never watches anything.
Yes.
He don't watch Carl. He don't watch me. He doesn't watch Shuli. He doesn't watch anything. Erock on Chrissy's show. Never. But he assumes everyone is watching his show. It's the classic narcissist.
Yes.
Wow. It's classic.
And it's funny because back in the day, you got one chance to watch or hear something, and then it was gone. And so most people didn't watch it, but guys like Opie assumed that they did. Now there's clippers who are putting out the best parts anyway. So yeah, I'm sure Erik has seen this.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's only like in the last 6 or 12 months that everything's getting clipped and put up on YouTube.
Oh, I know Erock saw this because me and him text each other because I'm a human being.
Yes, right. So your drunk uncle gives him $20 and says, Sam and the boys gave Anthony a trouncing in the ratings. Who knew that a washed-up racist woman biter wouldn't be as popular as Sam Roberts? Okay,
this is a troll.
Yes,
it's so obvious. Like he's trying to get Opie to talk about me, but also hate on Sam. This guy is he got 2 people in this troll post
Correct.
For $20.
Because there is no ratings battle between you and Sam Roberts.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not the
yeah.
same medium. It's not the same day part. It's not the same anything.
The shit he suggests here about Sam is fucking atrocious.
Oh, you've seen this already.
Oh, I've seen it all. I don't see. I'm not the guy that says I don't watch. Like I say,
Right.
I always say I watch everything. I watch you guys. I watch Opie. I watch Scorch, Shuley,
Kevin
John,
Brennan.
Kevin Brennan.
Yep.
All of them. What else am I doing with my day? Having crazy times like Opie thinks?
The one person none of us are watching is Chad Zumach.
yeah. That
I'm the same way. I try to be tuned in on everything. I can't watch a second of Chad's show. It's
Do you
so
know
bad.
I've tried? I've actually tried, and I start watching, and I'm just like, it's not even like, oh, it's so bad, or fuck him, I hate him, or anything.
Right.
It's just boring as fuck.
It's just nothing. It's just
Not even
nothingness.
funny boring like Opie or anything.
You're watching a guy twiddle his thumbs as he hits buttons on
And
his
play sound effects
roadcaster. Yep.
completely out of context.
It's crazy. So yeah, he goes pretty hard at Sam here.
Oof. Yeah.
No one's talking about Sam. I mean, he got exactly what he wanted. He suffered through Jim Norton because he
You're
never
talking
liked
about
Jim
him right
Norton.
now. Sorry. No one's talking about Sam. So back to Sam.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the easy pass to my own career at Sirius. He didn't realize it was going to last so long with Jimmy. He was hoping.
It's amazing what he knows about Sam Roberts and what Sam has been thinking about his career, even though Opie hasn't worked with Sam in over 10 years. But he knows that Sam wanted to get that morning show, but then he had to wait out Jim Norton in order to get the show without Jim on there because they don't like each other. He's got it all figured out.
He's projecting again.
Yes.
This is Opie after I got fired. And he's like, Opie thought, oh, this is great. Now, finally, my chance to show my chops, my radio chops, and how awesome I am without this fucking Anthony guy. And he failed miserably. So he's trying to project, like, obviously, Sam and Jimmy didn't get along. And Sam was just sitting going, haha, oh, I can't wait till that Anthony guy. Oh, I mean, Jimmy is gone. So I could show how awesome I am.
This is psychotic. This is to think that you know what Sam was thinking in the process he went through. And you're right. It's all projection. This is all the story of Opie is what he's saying right here. And it didn't work out for him. It did work out for Sam, which is very funny. But just to be able to think that you know people's motivations and he didn't think that Jim was going to be there on that long, but he still had to wait it out. It's like, how do you know? Okay, let's say that he knows Sam didn't like Jim back when they all worked together. How does he know that when it became the Jim and Sam show, that they didn't get along famously?
Even if they didn't like each other.
Right.
Yeah. It would have, maybe they patched things up. They go, hey, like adults, like human beings.
Right.
They sat down and said, hey, this is us now. We got a show. If we did have any differences, let's put them aside. I could absolutely see them doing that if there even was a problem in the first place, which I don't believe there was. Maybe they're not of the same mindset. I think it was an awkward fit together for them.
Sure.
I think all of us together, Opie, Anthony, Jimmy, Sam, Erock, Travis, I think it made for a great combination. And Sam and Jimmy are very different people, and I don't think it worked as well as it could have with two other people, let's say. But to say they didn't like each other, I didn't see that at all.
But this is him soothing himself.
Right.
He's telling the story where they hated each other. And
salve all over his body. Right?
Yes. They've been suffering through this morning show ever since I left.
But that would be quick. He had to suffer with Jim Norton. Because, look, I hung out with Sam Roberts. He's been in this house. Mm-hmm. He went on vacation with us on my dime. Never.
What a dick.
Please.
What a dick to say he had to throw in on my dime.
And I gave him a hug.
Yeah, it's just like generous people don't fucking keep score of shit like that.
No. Paid for a thing. And then he became Judas. And then he, he made a
step in here.
Please.
Is Stuttering John. He's doing the Stuttering John thing. John loves talking about how he just spent and paid for everything when he talks about going out with people.
And then they turned on me. That's the story of John. Yes.
They are fucking mirror images of each other.
They really are.
It's amazing.
he made a pact with Jim Norton. I knew those guys were going to stab me in the back. I don't know if I've ever told this story. So,
all right, I don't believe I've heard this story he's about to tell. I thought I was going to hear something I've heard before, but we all know the story of this. That Opie went on vacation for a month right before the contract negotiations, and he wasn't even in the building. And they're like, "All right, do you guys want to take over the morning show?" They're like, "Sure."
He played a hand with no fucking cards. He just had no cards, and he goes, "Yeah, well, fuck you. Watch what I do. I'm going to leave for the entire summer. I legitimately have vacation time. I'm going to take it all at once, and you won't see me again for 3 fucking months." And he just expected Sirius to go, "Oh, boy. Oh, what day is it? Is Opie back yet? Jesus." No, they said, "All right, Jim, Sam, step up. You got the helm." And this is them stabbing Opie in the back.
Right. It's his own doing.
He's got no sense of self-realization, yet he knows what everyone else was thinking.
Right.
But he's completely unable to assess himself and what he's doing.
The idea that he would be responsible for his own behavior, that someone would have a conversation with him and decide based on that conversation that they don't like him is not an option. It will never occur to him. So just like John, anyone that doesn't like him is part of a massive conspiracy theory by big racism that's there to keep him down and keep everything floating. It's incredible. He wouldn't even think about it.
We were really close with Sam and his wife, and my wife and Sam's wife were very close, very close. And one day, just minding my own business in my apartment in New York City, 500 feet above the streets of New York City.
Another Sonny John parallel.
Sam's wife would come.
He has to throw in that brag. Was completely unnecessary to the story.
Which I pay for on my dime.
Yep. In Calabasas, my mansion, $2 million.
Can't afford off-street parking, but it is a really nice view you have there, Opie.
I'm Greg Hughes. I own a mansion and a yacht.
Right.
Sam's wife would come by and cry about all sorts of things she thought was going on. The dirt I got. Trust me, I hold back.
Again, this is Opie's. His MO, he always goes to this car. He's just like, I know shit that if I told you guys, it would ruin this guy.
Yeah.
Just fucking tell us. Or keep it to yourself. Do one or the other.
This is a betrayal right here. Regardless of how you feel about Sam, and again, stabbed me in the back. Yeah, you took 3 months off. They needed to do a show. They needed to put a show in there. They couldn't find the best of Opie. It doesn't exist. They needed actual breathing people. So if this is even true, which again, I don't believe anything this fucker says.
No.
He might even believe this happened, but whatever. There's a confidence there between friends. His wife and Sam's wife, and I know they were very good, close friends. And she confides in Opie's wife about something, and Opie just puts it out here like this and alluding to what? A cheating thing. That's what he's alluding to.
Yes.
And what a scumbag fucking move this is.
But she would cry because of some of the things that she thought was going on.
What, wrestling?
I don't know.
Yeah, what, his hairline?
She didn't know John Cena was going to do a fucking face turn and become a bad guy? She
saw the script at a time.
Yeah,
does any of it have to do with you, Opie? What does any of this stuff we're even talking about have to do with
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow this makes him look good.
We've gotten pretty far away from where we started, haven't we?
Holy shit.
I don't know. But one day, Sam's wife comes to our apartment, and she comes in,
and she's nude.
She's in tears. She's crying, and she's talking to my wife, and it's like she's just trying to say how much she loves my wife and appreciates the friendship. And then
there's so much crying going on around Greg in his adult life.
Crying.
I can't tell you 3 stories I've had. I can remember people crying around me. It's weird.
Right? Yeah. And are you hugging other men when they're crying?
No.
Look, I like to think I'm a pretty open-minded guy, and I have a confidence in my own masculinity. But hugging a crying man,
Maybe
ain't
in a
my book.
wake, not at work. You know,
Not at work. Yes, at work.
He's also someone who doesn't like to reveal much about his personal life. He doesn't. Like, I don't know much about his kids. I don't know much about his wife. He chooses to keep them, but anyone else's wife or girlfriend who's crying or having personal marital issues, well, now we can talk about it on air and use it to define them and make fun of them. That's all fair game. I don't know your fucking dog's name, but we can talk about people's wives crying over infidelity late at night at your house. What does that have to do with why you can't do radio?
Perfect, Adam. Yes, that's what the fuck he does.
Lasted maybe a half hour, and then she leaves. She leaves. Never to be seen again.
Kill her?
She knew her husband was about to stab me in the back with Jim Norton, and she was saying goodbye.
He knew. See,
She
this
didn't
is
agree
fucked
with
up.
it.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
says
again, he knows all the motivation. He understands
Right.
everything that's going on in the mind of other people.
the wife comes over and cries to Opie's wife because she knows that Sam is going to stab him in the back and the friendship is over. So Sam at one point must have gotten his wife there and gone, honey, I'm going to stab Opie in the back here. So go
It's like
over,
a Shakespeare play.
make your
Some
peace
shit.
with his wife
Yeah.
because it's over after this happens. Today, after the baptism, I take care of all family business. It's retarded. How does he know this? He plays fantasies out in his head, and they become gospel.
So that story got two things taken care of. One, it proves that Sam was conspiring against Opie in the background, and even his wife didn't even want him to do it, but Sam is so powerful, he still was able to destroy the friendship that his wife had with Opie's wife. And also to say that, like, oh, Sam was cheating on his wife, and maybe if I plant that seed, I can cause some strife for Sam current day. Right? I assume they're still married, Sam and his wife?
Oh, yeah.
They have kids and everything? Yeah. So, great, Opie. Really good stuff to fucking bring up. You're a true pale.
This is what they do when comedy is not an option. John, it's the same way. They don't have jokes, and they think their impulsivity and their lack of self-control is their talent, because that, won so many moments in the past where they did the impulsive thing. Now, he's got nothing to offer.
And just like John, they'll go to try to ruin your life. Like John tried to get Anthony's gig canceled at WABC just recently. We talked about that. He's going after Sam. But meanwhile, when we go on a show and we go, Opie, you got to do a better job with how you're centering yourself.
He's
and
a work in progress, Carl. God, you're so judgmental.
It's like I don't have satire and parody, so I'm just going to go to libel and slander.
That's
just as good, right?
It's perfect.
He's looking at the homeless guy. He sees the cake. He knows there's like a political cartoon in here somewhere about class and hunger, and I'll just smash the cake. That's the joke. I'll just smash it.
I'm
and
outrageous.
That's it. Yeah, something else might have been a funnier move.
All right, here's how Opie doesn't even understand his own business.
He's just there. I mean, he's just there. Sirius XM survives because of Howard Stern.
So he's saying that Sam Roberts, he just signed a contract. He's the host of the morning show. Yeah. And Opie's saying he doesn't matter to Sirius.
It survives because of a little bit of Ron Bennington. It survives a little bit because of Andy. It survives a little bit because of Mike. No, not Mike. Just the Mad Dog. Maybe throw a little bonfire in there. That's it. Sam's he's just rotting in a seat. Nothing impressive there.
What's your evidence for this? There's no ratings for this thing, so we have no idea. All I know, going off of SiriusXM's most recent meeting they had with the stock, the owners of their stock, is that they're really focused on podcasts. Caller Daddy and Smartless is what they talked about nonstop throughout that call.
He didn't mention those,
And Opie has no clue. He thinks it's still Ron Bennington and Andy Cohen.
Cousin Brucey.
Right, yeah. It's like you have no idea what you're talking about.
Grease
right
Man.
now.
Yeah. Jay over there is really funny. They're dead.
They're
Jay
not even paying
Shannon's
attention to
Jay
Howard
Thomas
anymore.
is dead, Opie.
They're not even paying attention to what Howard's doing. They don't even give a shit.
No one cares
Anymore.
anymore what Howard's doing, really. I mean, you know.
He didn't get brought up
He'll
one
discount
time.
anything as just no big deal. He's nothing. Sam's doing that. He's rotting in the seat. No big deal. I'm not impressed. What the fuck are you doing where you can judge what is impressive or not in other people's lives? Sam is employed by SiriusXM. He does a morning show. He gets paid a salary. What the fuck are you doing to be able to sit there and not be impressed by that? Or, you know, again, I'll bring it back to me, coming back to broadcast radio at WABC. Yeah, not impressive. Call me when, and then some other thing. What are you doing, fucko? You're sitting there at some ungodly hour of the morning trying to talk quiet because your wife and kids don't know that their mental patient husband and father don't know what he's doing out there, and judging everyone that's more successful and more driven and doing a lot more than you are.
And
And
can
it's
you
all
imagine a
personal.
world where Opie gets hired by AM radio and he's like, all right, I got a small little thing, not a big deal. We're not going to make a big deal about it. I am returning to terrestrial radio, but I'm not syndicated yet. Okay, we got syndicated, but we're just taking it slow. I'm not. He would be throwing a parade. Yeah, I mean, it'd be all over. You kidding me? You can downplay it and play it cool and talk about how it's not really a big deal anymore because who listens to radio? I just got a car. They don't even have it in it. So this isn't a big deal, guys.
Right.
This isn't. That'd be his take on it.
That would be his take. It's all different if it's him, right?
Obviously, you guys have not seen Gebhardt's basement.
I have actually.
There are some
Goddamn
neon
impressive.
blue lights there, so
All right, let's
got a
get back to Erock. We got to get back to bashing Erock again.
I didn't know the.
Who are these podcasts? WA